Hi folks, it's Ron Johnson here again, and this is chapter 5 on arresting people. Okay, so I'm going to go through the basics first. There's going to be a few parts to this, but your classic shoplifting scenario is what I want to explain to you today. So say you're the assistant manager, clerk, store manager, and you're working on the floor. Most shoplifters will stay out of your way, and some of them figure that you just got your head in the sand, you're busy, you don't know what to look for, you don't know what shoplifting's all about, so they just go about their business. Okay, so I want to give a classic example. Alright, you're working the bread and you see a guy at the meat department, okay, and he grabs a family pack of pork chops, just boom, right in the basket, and you're like, that's kind of, whatever, and then he quickly walks away. You'd be prudent to just look down the aisle, and you'll probably see him go like this from behind and drop the basket. You know the meat's in his coat. So the classic way is, as you're going to the front of the store, you don't want to spook him, so you want to stay a little bit behind distance, and if you can, on the way, grab a cashier or another service clerk as a witness, just a witness. And when you go outside and stop the person, just say, "Excuse me, sir, I'm the store manager, I'm the assistant manager, you have some meat in your coat you have not paid for." And you can actually, once you say that, you've actually made an arrest on behalf of the store. You can also grab his arm and hold it, and if he shrugs a little bit, you can say, "Hey, I don't want to use handcuffs, but if you force me to, I will." You don't have handcuffs, but you can use that anyways. So if the guy cooperates, and, "Oh, I'm sorry, I have no money," well, let's go back into the store, sir, and we'll see what we can do. Get the product off of him, give it to the service clerk, have him come with you, or you take it with you yourself. Now what you do is you take him into your stock room, or even better if you have an office. Now in that situation, especially in an office, you should always have a witness present. If it's in a stock room where staff are walking around and it's an open area, you're fine with him, yourself, and the shoplifter. But a witness is always nice to have, especially if you arrest a female and you're alone with her. You've got to have another female present as a witness, because these shoplifters can say that you tried to rape me, you tried to force me into sex, anything. So you've got to have a witness for that. Alright? So the next thing you want to do is this. And this is part of my booklet. This is one little page in my booklet for $30, and it's called the Charter of Rights. Okay? And this, you have to read it verbatim. So you'd have this piece of paper in your hand and you'd read it to the person. I'm going to go through it real fast. "I'm arresting you for theft under $5,000 by shoplifting." And this is September the 3rd, 1993. Okay? "It is my duty to inform you that you have the right to retrain and instruct counsel without delay. This means before we proceed with this investigation, you may call any lawyer you wish or get legal advice from duty counsel immediately." Immediately means when it's safe to do so. If they have their own cell phone, they can call their own lawyer or get that information. Okay? If you have a legal aid number, it's in the phone book. You can have that on hand and hand it to the person. They can call a lawyer from there. If the person's struggling or causing disturbance, then they don't call a lawyer right away until they calm down. If you want to call duty counsel, I can provide you with a telephone number. Look in the phone book for your local legal aid agency. If you are charged with an offense, you may also apply to legal aid for assistance. Do you understand? Okay. Do you want to call a duty lawyer or counsel? Do you understand? Okay. You are not obliged to say anything, but anything you do say may be given in evidence. This charter must be read word for word. If the suspect wants to call counsel or a lawyer, provide them with a phone number and a phone, and give them some privacy if it is safe to do so. That's your Charter of Rights, and this should always be in your drawer when you're ready in the office, because once you do this, legally binding, you've read your Charter of Rights to them, and if they say they understand, everything's fine. Next thing you want to do is ask them for identification. If they have ID and they give it to you, great. Copy all that information down, photocopy their license or their ID. If they refuse to give you your ID, their ID, keep them there detained and call the police. And don't call the non-emergency line. Always call 911. And the operator will say police, fire, or ambulance, and you'll say police, please, and she'll transfer you to the police department, and you explain to them exactly what transpired in your store and that you have the suspect in custody. Okay? Next thing you can do is take a picture of the offender. If he refuses or goes like this or his hands, you can wait till the police come and they will make a photo for you. Now you can put that photo and information on file, and there is a form you can pick up from the RCMP detachment called an RTCC, which is a report to Crown Counsel. It's 5 copies. One goes to yourself as evidence, one to the policeman, one to his lawyer, the accused, and one to Crown Counsel that's on your side. So that's it. That's a classic shoplifting scenario. The police attend, they take him into custody. They'll do a search warrant on him. If he's wanted, they might hold him and keep him in jail to face the judge the next day for an outstanding warrant. Or if he has no record or no warrants issued to him or against him, they'll release him with a promise to appear notice. And that promise to appear notice means that he has to appear at this certain date for fingerprint and photographing at the police station, and then a date will be set for court. If the accused pleads guilty with his lawyer, then you will never have to attend court. They'll deal with him directly. If the accused pleads not guilty, they will subpoena you to go to court to give evidence. And that's where you have your copy that you can memorize and present it in court. Always stand up in court. Never sit down. If they say you can, when you put your hand on the Bible and you swear that everything's going to be legal, and the judge says you can sit down now, you can say, Your Honor, I wish to stand. It shows more credibility in yourself and more credibility from the defense lawyer and the Crown Counsel. If you can do it by memory, the actual arrest and everything you've done that day, it really adds more credibility to you. But if you can't, you can say, Your Honor, I would like to read the report out loud, and he'll let you do that. Then the defense lawyer will ask you questions like, was it raining that day? Was it sunny that day? What was the person wearing? What did they steal? What was the value? Did they struggle? He's trying to dig at you to see if there's anything that you've forgotten. If you say it was sunny but it was raining, and he was wearing a blue coat and he was wearing a yellow coat, it ruins your credibility, and then the judge could have a reasonable doubt and discharge the person, and the person doesn't get charged. Not all the time, but sometimes. So when you're memorizing your report or reading it, just remember all those facts, and never let the lawyer try to sidetrack you with other weird questions. You stick to your facts that you wrote down on that report, that piece of paper. Okay? And whenever you're asked a question, always turn to the judge and answer to the judge. Don't answer to defense. Even if defense asks you a question, Mr. Johnstone, was he wearing a blue coat and was it raining that day? Your Honor, he was wearing a yellow coat and it was sunny that day. It's in my report. direct your questions to the judge, and you'll really show a lot of credibility in the scenario. Now, that's just one classic part of shoplifting that has run really smooth. Now, there's other situations where if the person you're trying to stop outside runs, don't chase him. Try to get the product back. There's an old saying I used to use, it's called stop police. And sometimes they think you're saying police, and they hear that word and they stop sometimes. But you've actually said stop please. So in court, if they ever say you were, pretending you're a police officer, which you're not, you say, Your Honor, I said stop please. Little tricks, that you got to use. Also, when he flees, remember what he's wearing. If he gets into a vehicle, what type of vehicle, 4-door sedan, 2-door sedan, convertible, what color, what kind of mags on the tires, passenger, driver, description of the driver, or he gets in the vehicle himself, license plate number. Then go back to the store, just call 911, tell them what happened, give them the information, and if they see that vehicle driving around, they'll pull it over, and maybe they'll find meat and other things that the person has stolen from other stores. Okay, now that's a few good examples of a classic shoplifting, but for now, that's all I'm going to talk about. There's other videos out there, of course, you can watch, but this is in my experience, and this is what you're going to face. And remember, key is, remember the shoplifter is more scared than you are. So remain calm. It's good to have adrenaline, but don't overdo it. Don't beat the shoplifter up. Don't get into a struggle, because if you get hurt, WCB won't cover you. Okay? So we got to keep everything safe. In the old days, it was different. We could struggle with people and fight and chase, and it was craziness. But nowadays, with WCB putting down the heavy-handed law for shoplifting, which is a misdemeanor, let it go. Now, also, you can, if a person has taken something, you see them throw something on a shelf, and you go over there and it's an empty box of Tylenol. Now, you're not sure if they've taken it or not, but pretty damn well they have. So what you can do is, while they're in the checkout and they're buying other groceries, you can throw it on the conveyor belt without them seeing, and then suddenly it'll be scanned and they'll be like, huh? What? Whoa. And you just nod to the cashier and she'll scan an empty box and he'll pay for it. Or, excuse me, you can stand on the other end of the cash desk facing the suspect and just hold the box in your hand like this and just sort of wave it around. But don't say anything, don't accuse him, don't make conversation, nothing. Probably he's going to do 2 or 3 things. He's going to go, oh, I forgot my wallet.